Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of CoogsTalk. I'm your host, Joseph Mosbey with
Elisha, Qazi.
McLaurin.
Today we got a special episode for you. The WNBA is about to come up. A lot of exciting things going on. Well, just want to go ahead and hop into it. We just had the CBA. What did y'all thoughts about that?
I think the CBA was great. I think the players got a lot of things that they wanted. I think it's great that they were able to. I mean, these new contracts are going to be crazy. These new rookie contracts are like so much more money than the old ones. I know the ones that Paige and Caitlin, they're all on is like, I think their max salary is like $70,000 a year, and now the ones coming in, I think it's like $500,000, something like that. So salary increase is crazy. The introduction of like supermax contracts, the pregnancy clause that I saw was pretty interesting about like letting a player know that you're trading them if they're pregnant, and kind of having that sort of conversation, because I think that's one thing that men's leagues don't really have to think about at all, but it's like so prominent. And I mean, the WNBA is a league full of mothers, so I think stuff like that has been pretty transformational. And then also just like the new revenue share stuff that's going on, I think great outcome for the players.
Yeah, I agree. I think the revenue sharing was like really the big thing, because they weren't really getting paid much. Mm-hmm. And so for them to be able to finally get good contracts, especially the better players getting more money, I think it overall was, I think it's good for the WNBA. I think it's great for the league.
Yeah, just going into it, I just think it's long overdue.
Yeah.
These ladies have been working hard, putting in a lot of effort, even in my opinion, more effort than the men, and they have to do it without having a sponsor and support behind it.
And I mean, like, the deadline kept moving back and back and back. And I remember like it hit March 1st and they were like, okay, they have till March 10th. And then it was like, okay, now the head of like the WNBA PA, so like NECA, Stewie, Brianna Turner, they were all meeting with the WNBA in New York, like 12 plus hour long meetings every single day to just get this CBA done. So it's like, I think people need to realize that like the players really took initiative and made sure that they got every single thing that they wanted. Obviously, they didn't get exactly everything they wanted, but that's just how CBAs are. But I think that like the work that the players put in is just set a precedent, and hopefully the players won't have to put as much effort in a way, right? Like hopefully the league and the owners can see that like the players deserve this, and when they're trying to negotiate for more money or more revenue or more shares, the league is willing to accommodate that.
Yeah.
And I think I got to give props for them standing on it and risking not even having the season. That's it could have possibly not happened. So for them to do that, it showed they really believed in the growth that they've had over the last few years, and it's good to see them compensated for it.
Exactly. And honestly, going back to the Brittany Griner situation, it's insane to me that you're having to play overseas in the country that's supposed to be the pinnacle of basketball. That shouldn't be a thing. If you're an athlete, you're doing it professionally, you should be taken care of. That being said, I'm glad that the ladies finally got the support they needed, and we move forward and hopefully just continue the expansion and explosion of the WNBA. But speaking of that word expansion, as we're speaking going on right now, there's an expansion draft going on. Just want to hear about your thoughts about that. Are you excited?
Yeah, no, I think expansion drafts are always interesting. Obviously, last year with the Valkyries expansion draft, that was kind of a taste for people to come to this year's one. And it's always exciting, but also interesting to see which players get picked and kind of being like, oh, like they didn't protect that person. Like, who could they have protected over that? Like that sort of whole deal. Expansion drafts are interesting because teams have to kind of look to their future, but also they want to keep a good core base of players. So it's all about that balance between like, okay, this young player is going to be really important in a couple years, but also we need this like veteran player to stick around. And also I think teams are only allowed to protect 5 players out of a 12-player roster. So I mean, that's half your team is up for grabs realistically. So I'm super excited, and it'd be interesting to see what kind of comes out of that.
Yeah, I think expansion drafts are always interesting. It really adds a new kind of spice to the league, having these new teams involved. And I think something also it could do is kind of help spread the talent around. Yeah. I think that could really be big. You have stars in each city. That helps, bring more fans, more interest to the sport. So I think overall the expansion is going to be something good for the WNBA long term.
And I agree. And speaking of expansion, it was an expansion move, but I know I'm excited. I don't know about y'all. You're wearing the shirt too. The Comets are back in Houston, baby. Dynasty that should have never left. I just want to hear your thoughts about that.
I think Comets coming back is a huge deal. I think like the amount of videos I've seen where they're like players on a red carpet or just asked out, like, is there a team that you wish would come back? Like the Houston Comets is always one of those answers that's like at the top of the list. Like players want to be in Houston. They wanted this team to come back. They wanted that dynasty to live on. I think, like, again, Houston is just a sports city. I think it's a team that hopefully is embraced by the city and everyone welcomes with open arms. It's definitely also a city that, like, free agency-wise, obviously we're about to go into a really big free agency where everyone bar, like, 2 players are, you know, gonna be free agents. But, you know, within the next couple free agencies, I think Houston is definitely gonna be a destination that players are gonna wanna be in.
Yeah, kind of just picking off of what you said, Houston is a basketball city, so I think it's great that Houston has a WNBA team now. Mm-hmm. They were dominant. They really should never left, and it's like it'd be just crazy. Like think of like the Warriors in the middle of their run just getting out of Golden State. It'd be crazy. Yeah. So it's like it's so good to see the Comets back, and I think Houston's going to support because it's a basketball city. So
yeah, I will say I do feel for Connecticut Sun fans. You know, Connecticut doesn't really, I don't think, has any other major sports teams at all. UConn is the monster that it is basketball-wise, but I do feel for the Connecticut Sun fans. But again, like when you talk about Connecticut, one of their biggest issues was they didn't have facilities that were good enough for the players. And from what I'm hearing, the players for the Comets will be practicing at the same facilities that the Rockets players practice at. So that's already an immediate upgrade without even having to spend too much money. Obviously, $300 million is a lot of money to relocate the team and bring it back, but still, there's things that the players and hopefully investment just goes up into that team and those players just, you know, get what they deserve.
And shout out Mr. Fertitta, putting a lot of effort into the University of Houston, also in the pro sports era and with his casinos. And I think he's genuinely doing a great job for Houston sports right now. Mm-hmm. $300 million was something, that's not a small chunk.
That's the largest deal in league history.
Exactly, and bringing them back to a city that honestly needs it. H-Town, you know, we hold it down, we do it the best, you know. I think the team's gonna be supported, it's gonna be loved, and it's something that the WNBA needs moving forward. And also they're coming in 2027, perfect timeline, get to someone like Juju, come in, rock the city, have a great time.
It really just depends on the Connecticut Sun this season. It's like, do you wanna maybe tank a little, or do you also you kind of don't want to do that when this is like this group of fans last time seeing them at home, so it's like the two sides to it. Then it's also like, is Juju actually going to declare next year, right? Like with her being out this year and the ACL tear, like that's the type of injury where you don't want to, you know, rush on to the next thing as soon as you can. And with the kind of getting a little bit off topic, but the class of players that USC has coming in, you know, they have a great chance of winning a national championship. Does Juju want to leave before that even comes into picture? I think there's a lot of factors that come into play, but still looking to that 2027 draft, that is a stacked class of players. Hannah Hidalgo's in that. She's, one of the best players in college basketball right now. I think for Houston, depending on Connecticut season, they had a down year last year. It could look pretty bright if they get a top pick for sure.
Okay, you know, I'm just a Houston fan, so
yeah,
wishful thinking. Just wanted someone to come in and rock the city. That's a great start for it. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Thank you everybody for watching. It's been another episode of CoogsTalk. I'm your host, Joseph Mosbey with
Elisha, Qazi,
and
McLaurin.
See you next time. Go Cougs.